Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Buraidah Al Aslami, student number 1500175. Today, we are talking about crowdfunding as an alternative in microfinance. What is crowdfunding and what is microfinance? Let's find out. What is crowdfunding and why everybody talking about it? The basic idea of crowdfunding is to raise money to relatively small contribution from a large number of people. Combining a base microfinance and crowd sources, in crowdfunding, people need it for various purposes: education, new business, getting medical treatment, and even to getting married. In current practice, internet-based crowdfunding is utilized to raise millions of dollars for charity organizations and non-profit organizations. Let's say someone gets injured by accident, then the hospital bill reaches 1,000 ringgit and he cannot pay for the cost. He asks his family members to go for crowdfunding platform, give the case and identification details about himself to ask people to make a donation. In just a few minutes, the campaign page can be shared to all of people and ask people to donate using a credit card, net banking, check, or any bank transaction. The participant not limited to the family member and friends, but it can reach to more people who can attribute to donate his bill. Soon enough, he can raise enough money to pay a bill for his surgery or medical treatment. How about the microfinance? Around the world, billions of people are living without access to financial services that many of us take it for granted. Without access to service like loan service, savings account, insurance, funds transfer, it being obstacle to overcoming poverty or retaining financial stability, it can be difficult. These people is under category that banks don't serve. The activity to provide the service to these people are collectively called microfinance. That's why one of the most important facets of the microfinance is microcredit for small loans. Usually the loan provider serves with $100 at a time to people in need, without any collateral or any complicated documents requirement. Go back to the crowdfunding. Based on the current practice, crowdfunding could be classified into two classifications: a community crowdfunding and investment crowdfunding. In community crowdfunding, they have two concepts. Firstly, what we call it as a donation base, where the contributor give their money in the spirit of charity without expecting any return. Secondly, we call it as a reward base, where the donor will gain any kind of reward such as gift, coupon, and any project commodity. The rewards may vary in value depending on contribution size. As an example of this crowdfunding, Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Investment crowdfunding. This crowdfunding tends to involve investment concept, and it can be divided into two categories as well. These two types which distinguished by the way return is given. Firstly, what we call it as debt-based. Debt-based crowdfunding, or in others named peer-to-peer lending, are more similar to the concept of loan, which require return based on interest and repayment of the capital. The loan will be in a small amount. The crowdfunding platform acts as intermediaries for the funders and the borrowers. P2P crowdfunding platform will be able to generate their revenue by taking a specified percentage of the loan amount at one-time charge from the borrower and a loan servicing fee. As an example of this type include Prosper, Funding Circle, and Lending Club website. Secondly, we call it as equity-based crowdfunding, and this type of crowdfunding is the most popular in current practice, which tend to gaining ground and is estimated to be largest portfolio in the future, because it is getting more laws to legalize this practice. Equity crowdfunding is a method of financing whereby an entrepreneur sells equity or shares in a company to a group of small investors through an open call for funding on interest-based platform. As an example, such portals include Offerboard, CircleUp, OurCrowd, and others. Why crowdfunding should be alternative for microfinance? In reality, obtaining financial assistance at the initial stage of a small enterprise business is a common problem faced by a small entrepreneur, despite their excellent business ideas or projects. The problem becomes worse when they are not able to provide collateral for financial assistance and face difficulties in attracting investors due to the insufficient cash flow of the business startup. Credit screening is another hurdle that can impede their ability to obtain the finance. However, the rapid movement of transactions via internet is indeed a technological advantage for crowdfunding. Technological advancement has made crowdfunding exercise viable in the local and global market. This trained crowdfunding to become a very efficient medium helping microfinance activities. Crowdfunding gives freedom to the funders and the issuers who seek funding via the intermediation played by the crowdfunding platform. Crowdfunding can offer a lot of benefits for microfinance, such as ability to raise funds without the need to give a large parcel of equity interest, guaranteed fairness by spreading risk to the investor, reduced cost of capital and higher returns to investor. But nevertheless, crowdfunding is also exposed to certain risks, for instance, default risk, platform closure or failure, fraudulent act of the party, illiquidity, cyber attack and lack of transparency and disclosure. To mitigate this risk, when a borrower wants a loan, they should approach the local crowdfunding partner, who will assess their request and determine if it is a genuine business or viable project before posting it onto the website. In default risk, if a borrower defaults, then the lenders do not get repaid due to the general rule in the crowdfunding. But the partner can report the borrower's default to a credit reference bureau. Crowdfunding platform should set up a system similar to credit scoring. If people fail to repay a loan, it will be bars them from obtaining more credit. The crowdfunding platform also have to apply a rating system to ensure lenders are up to date on the progresses of the initiative they are funding. To mitigate a cyber attack and lack of transparency issue, crowdfunding platform should have highly qualified engineers who can protect or grade up the data protection for both lenders and borrowers. How does crowdfunding achieve their objective? Sure, one of the successful stories about crowdfunding to provide capital microfinance is the story of Stuart and Cheddar Anderson in Australia to market their first product, Beehive. Stuart Anderson was struggling financially. 3 years after leaving his job as a community worker in Lismore, he decided to concentrate on the beehive making. After a couple of months, money had started to get tight, but he managed to create a very creative hive that can safely extract honey without disturbing the bees. Then they started to raise a capital for that purpose, and somebody suggested to raise their capital through reward-based crowdfunding on Indiegogo. At the first launch, they only targeting to have $70,000, but they succeed to get it only in 8 minutes. It's very interesting. In the 24 hours later, they had 2 million pledged, which the highest and the fastest crowdfunding gain on any crowdfunding site. By the time the campaign had ended, they already had 13 million USD, which is total funds raised about 17,000% funded of their original goal on April 20, 2015. As a conclusion, the potential of crowdfunding as a fundraising tool for microfinance and social causes is undeniable. As far as the community-based crowdfunding in Malaysia is concerned, be it donation-based or reward-based, there is no proper legal framework available to the market players. Indeed, crowdfunding is an industry that grows very fast in parallel with the technological advancement that the world presently experiences. Due to that, necessary action should be made to ensure that its operation to microfinance activities is properly supervised and the parties involved are well protected. That's all for me. Thank you for watching my video. Hopefully it can be beneficial for you, inshallah. Assalamualaikum.